Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world and that you're one day closer to your dreams and prayers coming true. And of course, my podcast wouldn't be a podcast without a poem. So today won't be any different. And this poem is called Skin 2, taken from the book Helium, written by Rudy Francisco. This is Skin 2. When you are the only black man in the whole neighborhood, your skin is that one friend who meets everyone before you do. It wears a wife beater and house shoes. It knocks over the neighbor's mailbox. It cusses in front of the kids and plays music too loud. But you actually don't do any of those things. It's 7 p.m. It's Wednesday. And you are just walking home. I hope you enjoyed that. And actually, that poem was very appropriate for today's subject matter. And today's subject is Black Mental Health Matters. Focusing on the black men part in this particular case. I kind of been wanting to talk about this for a while now, and I've touched on it in previous podcasts, just here and there. But I wanted to focus on the state of black men and our mental state of mind in these crazy times in the world. Because I believe in my whole heart that a lot of us are keeping it inside for whatever reason. And in this particular case, it doesn't matter what social class you're in, whether, middle class, upper class, poor. I think we all struggle with the same thing and we all handle it differently. But the main issue that I have personally and professionally is not having someone to talk to. Because I'm at a stage, I'm a man of a certain age in my 50s, and I don't go to people very often about things that trouble me in terms of my anger, my depression, sadness. I'm very particular about who I share my self with. And I don't go to everybody for advice. Because to be honest, I'd rather go to people that know me, the whole me. That way they can give me advice based on my personality. But what I feel like is important now is that we all need to talk to each other. We need to find a way to put our pride aside and really discuss what bothers us. Because to be honest, I have so much anxiety about so many things. But first, I want to say, looking for a therapist. I had the opportunity through my insurance to get a therapist. And they offered a white woman to be they referred a white woman to be my therapist. And I remember mentioning to the person that was setting it up, I would prefer a black therapist. And she said they didn't have black therapists or African American therapists. She kind of said it kind of matter of factly, like almost like, well, we don't have those. And I said, well, there's nothing you can do for me. And because I can't see myself, nothing against white therapists, but I can't see myself talking to a white therapist about a black problem. It just doesn't go together. And to take it even a step further, because I'm a gay black man, people assume that I would want a gay therapist. I'm not opposed to it, but honestly, I'd rather somebody be, because black gay men are also a part of my anxiety and some of the issues that I have in the past, with my past. So I don't necessarily want to talk to a black gay man. I'd rather it be somebody that was preferably straight and black, that I feel could be a more objective to me. And because I really want, at this particular stage in my life, to trust my instincts. Of course I pray, like everybody else, I do pray, but I also worry. And I know that's not really good to do. If you're going to pray, then why worry? But I think the biggest challenge I have with my issues is that I feel like there's a loneliness. Because, like I said, I'm in a different chapter of my life. So talking to people in their 30s and 40s. Again, when I was in my 30s, I had those problems that reflected my age and at that time. But now my wants are different, my needs are different than my 30s and 40s. I don't want the same thing that I wanted then. The things that made me happy back then don't make me happy now. But also, I think the biggest issue I have, and maybe other black men have the same issue, is not having control over your life. Feeling forced to make decisions that you wouldn't make ordinarily. Taking jobs that you wouldn't have considered taking because you really want the work and you need the money. And companies taking advantage of your work ethic, of your experience, and they know the position they're putting you in, but they have no issue putting you in that situation. And my heart goes out to the fathers, single dads, guys who are trying to get their life back after maybe being in jail, trying to rebuild from scratch, whether you were on drugs, whether you sold drugs and you really are trying to go do the right thing and get on the right path for yourself, and they're making it hard for you. If they treat me like a criminal, and I haven't done anything, so I can only imagine what that struggle looks like. And I have a lot more compassion for men that are really trying. And I don't knock the hustle. I don't have kids, but I would do anything I needed to do to make sure my kids, if I was forced to. But I think we all have our struggles from different angles, but I think the reaction is the same. A lot of us are angry. Like for myself, in the workplace, I have a lot of issues with Karens. I have issues with millennials and Generation Z. I've had supervisors that were, like I said, Generation Z and millennials. No, I don't have any issue with them as people. I have an issue with them at work. And I feel like black voices, black men voices are getting pushed further into the back, and that everybody else wants to get treated special. Everybody else, all these different groups who shall remain nameless, want special treatment. Everybody wants to be treated special. And it's something that I don't want to misquote Dave Chappelle, but he was talking about how caring about people's feelings. Everybody's wants to know how you feel inside about different things. But nobody really asks black men how they feel. And again, although this podcast is focusing on black men, it's nothing against black women. You guys have your own, I feel like you have your own support group, your own support system. I feel like you have a lot of avenues that black men don't have, and a lot more resources. Because to me, unless you have kids and you're a single dad, they really just don't, they figure you'll be all right. And I think the biggest issue I have, it just seems like we get dismissed. Our rage, the stuff, that the racism, the simple stuff. Like, for example, getting pulled over by a policeman. The anxiety behind that. I don't care no matter who you are, again, what your social class is, to get pulled over, it just creates a whole nother set of issues. Our stress level in terms of blood pressure, the possibility of having a heart attack, anxiety, depression, I think it's so high. It's one of those things that I think is higher than we would ever want to admit. And I'm not saying black men need to get treated special or we need special treatment, but I think you do have to consider what we carry every day. Again, and even if you are doing okay, somebody that's struggling, having a hard time getting a job or having a hard time. And it's hard, even though you might be in a better position than them. It's, somebody, whether it's your cousin, your brother, your uncle, somebody's going through it. Somebody's having a hard time. And I've gone through my periods of depression, anger, and even now I struggle with it. But my biggest issue is I don't trust my instincts right now with people. I have a very distrusting spirit, as I've mentioned in several podcasts before. And it's not easy for me to make friends. I'm very, like I said, very distrusting. And I'm a people person, I love creating. I love engaging with people, but I've been burned by so many people. You share things with people, you as in confidence, they use it against you, or it's very disheartening to think that people would turn on you for whatever reason, and it creates another anxiety. Like, for example, I've had my issues with white women at work in the workplace, but it makes me even angrier when black women do it. I've been harassed by black women at work for whatever reason, and then people always say, well, maybe she's attracted to you. Even if that's the case, why would you harass a black man at his job if that's where he makes his money? Even if you messing around with them or whatever your situation is at work, that's where he makes his money. And I don't know any black man, if you mess with his money, you're going to get some attitude. That's where we survive. That's where we make our bread and butter. And some guys really don't care. I mean, they can be, like, for example, with the whole TJ Holmes situation. And I don't really talk about celebrities at all, but the situation with Good Morning America and that whole debacle, that happens every day. I'm not going to single him out and say, oh, he's just a horrible black man because he was sleeping with a white woman on his job. He just happened to get caught doing it. But men have fallen into sexual traps and sexual scenarios for years and lost their careers over it, So I'm not going to get on that soapbox. I just think that all of us have different motivations for different things. And the one thing I don't like is the whole sex addict. People say, oh, I'm a sex addict. I think guys who are sex addicts don't have enough to do. If you're sitting at home all day and you haven't had a job and you're not working, of course you're going to say, I'm horny. I just think it's an excuse, And I'm not saying everybody has that same attitude. I don't want to generalize. But all of us have motivations for what we do. And we have to just be honest with ourselves. Because I know I have an anger problem. I'm not angry all the time, but there are things that truly upset me. Like, I hate being stereotyped. I can't stand it. I don't like people assuming that because I'm black or I'm a black man, that I have kids out of wedlock, that I have a criminal record. I don't like, or that I smoke weed or I've done drugs. I haven't done those things. And when people assume that, I think it just sends me into a rage in my head. And I've lost my temper a few times this year, and I'm not proud of it. I'm just not proud that I let myself get that upset. And on the spiritual side, I'm really asking God to help me with that. I mean, to really help me do better. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So now I make a conscious effort to make better choices to keep my stress level down. In 2020, I went to the hospital for heart palpitations. Felt like I was going to have a heart attack. My heart just was racing. And I think it was a mixture of anxiety, stress, panic attack, the whole nine. And there's nothing worse than thinking you're dying. I mean, you're having a heart attack and all these different scenarios play out in your head. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready to die yet. I don't know what God's plan is, but I don't want to wake up thinking the worst every day. So what I'm learning to do, what I've decided to do this year, and I've been practicing it, is go with the flow of the day. Do your part, whatever it is you need to do for that day, whether it's looking for a job, exercising, eating right. Make a decision to do what you're going to do for that day and stick to it. And that's what I've been doing. I just kind of been sticking to, and not, if the day doesn't go exactly the way I planned it, it's like, oh well, there's always tomorrow. And I just been making better choices, conscious choices about, again, I'm going to handle it this way. Because I feel like we as black men really, really need to be honest with each other. If something is pissing us off, say it. It's pissing me off. If you're reaching out to a family member or a friend, I believe in telling people exactly what's bothering you. and tell it to somebody until they hear you. Whether it's, maybe you're an alcoholic and you feel like you're going to fall off the wagon, then call somebody until you reach somebody, because you don't want to drink, or you don't want to do drugs, or if you're trying to have a better life, call until you get somebody. But say the words. Say, I'm stressed, or I'm pissed, I'm angry as hell. Because the good thing about my partner, I love that I can be honest with him. I love that I can be honest about being pissed off and angry. And I think the other thing that black men do is that we sometimes look externally for our fulfillment. And what I mean by that is, like, I know the things that make me happy, the things that fill me up. And I love being in a relationship, but that's not all of who I am. It doesn't make me whole, because because what happens is when that person is gone, then we're so devastated. And of course, you're going to miss that person, but at the same time, that's not who makes you who you are. And I think we measure, because we don't have that good job anymore. We think that we're not worthy we're not in that relationship anymore, so we're not as good as we were. And I don't believe in that. I think we're great. We've just been convinced and browbeaten so much that we start to convince ourselves that we're not worthy of certain things. And I'm going to use myself as an example, because I've never had any particular amount of money. And then though my goal is to be successful, financially, sometimes it seems like it's never going to happen. Like I'm just always going to be in a certain space. But I know that I'm worthy of great wealth and great wisdom with that wealth. I don't want to be wealthy to put people down, I want to help other people. I genuinely want to help other people come up. I think there's room. I think everybody should be in a position of wealth, or whatever that works for them in terms of their lifestyle, and people that want to travel. But what I don't like is having my choices taken away. I don't think it's fair that if I want to have children, even at 55, if I want to get a surrogate, I should be able to do that. So I feel like black men, our choices seem to be limited sometimes. And I don't mean like we can't do it. It just takes us longer. We have to jump through more hoops. And I resent it. I do. I don't like being forced to do things I don't want to do. Again, if I wanted to leave the country, if I want to go to Paris and live for 6 months, I should be able to have that right. I shouldn't have to get permission from anyone to make the choices that I want to make. If I had kids and I wanted to send them to a great college, or if I wanted to put them in private school, I should be able to do that. I should be able to do whatever I choose to do with my money. And I think that and as far as history is concerned, what's going on, I love reading. I love reading books. I love autobiographies. I love reading about people's history. And the reason I love reading about people's history is because if they overcame it, then I can overcome it. So if I'm reading about somebody in history, black history, that went through some challenges and some trials and tribulations, it makes me feel good to know, okay, this person went through that and they got through it. This is what they did. And I can implement that into my life. So I love reading about, again, black men and black women in particular that have overcome serious obstacles, especially back, in Jim Crow and all these other periods in history that I can't imagine what they had to go through. So, but it's generational. We've all inherited something from our parents and our great grandparents, and things that we had to kind of unlearn. But it's brought us here to now. And I think we have to learn to, like I said, be honest with each other. In our marriages, if you married and you want to stay married and I think you got to be honest with your wives, your spouses, your partners. I mean, really be honest. Start with yourself and then address it. And like I said, it could be alcoholism. It could be sex addiction. It could be anything. Because I think we do things that we are pissed off about manifest itself in something else. So something we may be struggling with is going to manifest itself somewhere else. Displaced anger. And finding a therapist or a psychologist or it's something that I'm constantly seeking. I'm hoping to find the right therapist at the right time. And but in the meantime, I pray that God helps me with whatever it is I'm trying to do. And the other thing I pray for now is for preparation. I want to be prepared for whatever. I want the strength to be able to deal with whatever before it happens. Strength, I want to be able to endure. I want to be able to overlook certain things. I want to rise above certain things. I don't want to feel like my manhood is in question because my bank account doesn't reflect how I feel. You know, I love going to the gym. I love yoga class. I love cooking. I want to go back to school simply because I want to go back to school. And if I want to get a degree, and actually, I do. I really do. I should be able to do that. I don't care if I'm 65 and I get my degree. I want better choices. And one of the biggest things that enrages me when I feel like somebody's trying to keep me from a level of success that I like. I don't like gatekeepers or people that are really trying to prevent me from bettering my life. I don't, and that's one of the reasons why I really have issues with white people and Caucasians, because I feel like they go out of their way to prevent you from progressing. That's why I don't think black people can be racist, because we don't suppress other cultures. We don't really tell them they can't do. We don't go out of our way to prevent people from progressing. That's a whole nother situation, and I don't have anything against anybody. I just don't like anybody trying to prevent me or my family or anybody I care about from getting a nice home or buying a new car. Or I just feel like we are creating a lot of anxiety within ourselves that we didn't ask for. And I know this might sound corny, but I think we all deserve to be happy. I'm not jealous. I'm really not jealous of anyone. I'm really genuinely not. I want my people to do well. I love seeing people succeed. I love it. I love standing next to them. I love saying congratulations. I love saying I'm proud of you. Because again, I know how hard it is to sacrifice, how to blood, sweat, and tears going into something you love. And so why would I be jealous of someone when I know the hell they probably had to go through to get there, to maintain that? So for me, when I say black mental health matters, it does. I just think we have to be honest, completely honest with ourselves and with people we care about what's really bothering us, and not be embarrassed or ashamed. And even being black and gay, it's so different now. I don't think anybody should be pressured to come out of the closet, but to be gay in this day and time, it's really interesting to me. It was so different than when I was younger. We didn't have all these social media outlets, these apps. We weren't competing the way it is now. It's so different, and sex is so accessible. But what I'm proud of is I love being a faithful man. I love being the kind of man that I can look in the mirror and say, you know what, you did a good job today. I love being faithful to myself. And that's the one thing I learned how to do when I decided to be faithful to someone else. I learned how to be faithful to myself. My body doesn't speak for me. My penis does not speak for me. I know how to control myself. Now, I went through a period of self-inflicted pain many years ago, but now I'm in a better place in terms of I'm proud of who I am as a black man. I don't have to post it. I don't have to brag about it. I know I wake up and I go to sleep every day peaceful. I don't go out of my way to hurt nobody. I don't talk about people. And if I do, it's to myself. Meaning I would never put another black man down or woman online. I may have an observation, but I would never put. I just still feel like wouldn't want anybody to do that with me. So people from my past, friends, partners, I would never put anybody down. For one, I don't have the time to do that because I feel like it gives them power over you. And the past is the past. I'm not getting. I don't want to spend the rest of my days, however long that is, talking about people or being angry at somebody because I just can't. I want this chapter, this half of my life to be a lot more fruitful. And I want that for other people. I want that genuinely for my brothers to be happy and for us to have somewhere to go with our anger and with our frustration, to talk about it. And again, I say call somebody till you get somebody and say, hey, I'm going through this. I want to save my marriage or I want a better relationship with my children. Say that. Say it to your kids. Say, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm human. But don't make excuses for it. Being angry, nobody cares at the end of the day about a black man being angry. Nobody gives a damn. And if we don't start giving a damn about each other, we're going to be extinct. And I think we really have to start putting our pride aside and realizing we need each other. And I don't know what else is going to have to happen for us to do that. But we need to kind of start a network, start small. And maybe I am being a Pollyanna. Maybe I believe the world will be a better place, but we need to start looking out for each other, being a resource for one another and saying, hey, man, I need your help. And yeah, some people are going to be shady. Some people are going to piss you off. They're not going to understand. Move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. Because that's what I do. I just move on, and I can't let the anger eat at me. And I refuse to be an angry man. And I don't want to be a bitter man. And I want, like I said, the rest of my life to be fruitful. And I want that again for my brothers. And it's just one of those things that this podcast might not be the one that people want to listen to because, again, it focuses on something that maybe people aren't interested in. But what I love about doing my podcast is that I want to talk about the things that matter to me. And black mental health, black men matter. And if I'm angry as I am, I know other black men are angry too. We don't have to be angry for the same reasons. Does it matter? We all praying. We all grew up in church, some of us. But sometimes you need more than that. My faith is intact. This has nothing to do with God. God is still with me. I'm very well aware. But I don't like the hoops I have to jump through. And I really hope that you guys got something from this. I hope it was something that provoked thought in you. Because I decided not to do music today. I just wanted it to be raw and unapologetic. And, as always, of course, I want you to come to my store, All Things Moetic. I got a sale going on. And if you want to be a supporter of my podcast, just go to my page and, like I said, podbean.com and support what I'm doing. And I think we have to support each other, meaning that if I have money, then I can support another brother and he can support another brother and so on and so on. We can pay it forward. And then we all can have money. Again, it doesn't have to be you support me, I'll support you. And when I'm in a better position, again, the same thing. The ball will be rolling. And it'll be easier for us. And the worst thing we can do is not try. But I want to thank you for listening, as always. And I do hope you got something from this podcast today. And again, if you want to check out my store, All Things Moetic, please do. Like I said, I think you'll find something there that you might want to hang on your wall or share with somebody. But as always, thank you for listening. And I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world. And that you're one day closer to your dreams and prayers coming true. Thank you for listening.